everybody. Welcome to the first and inaugural WREVA, Waterloo Region Electric Vehicle Association, or REVA, podcast. We've decided that since we had a problem with actually meeting in person because of the health issue that's going along right now, we thought we would put together our EV news and publish it on YouTube so anyone could watch it when they have the time. With me today, Ian Graham joins me. Hello, Ian. How are you?
Good, Mark. How you doing?
Good. And we're keeping our social distance because we're just connected through the internet as well. So I hope all of you out there are following that advice. But today we thought we would just run through some EV news that we've collected over the past little while and talk about some stories. Certainly, if you've got any comments, you can put them in the comment section below and we'll peruse that and answer or respond to as we have time to do so. But let's fire up the deck, Ian, and see what we've got on tap for this afternoon, or of course whenever you're watching it.
Okay, so here we go. The REVA electrifying news.
That looks very familiar, Ian.
Oh yeah.
It's just like we're sitting in the meeting room. Absolutely.
Exactly. All right, so the first thing on the news of interest is I happen to be driving around on Victoria Street, and there's a Tim Hortons on Victoria and Lackner, and this was the sign that I saw out front. So I went in for the 1 hour of free charging, had a coffee and I think a bagel there, and yeah, I want to give shout out to Tim Hortons for doing that. Of course, now you can go through the drive-through and then go and plug in and charge while you're having your coffee. But the roll up the rim, of course, they're doing that on an app. And one of the prizes that you can get is a Hyundai Ioniq. It's I'm not sure, is it full electric and the plug-in, or?
Yeah, it's both. They're offering one of each.
Yeah, exactly. So you can do the roll up the rim on your phone app and potentially get a Hyundai Ioniq. I have two neighbors on either side of me, both who have the Ioniq with the plug-in hybrid version. They love it. It's a great car, and I know a couple of our members have got that car, and one of them actually went out to Halifax, if I'm correct, and she said great time, had no problems with charging, and really good car.
Excellent. Now, my question is, when you charged your car there at that Victoria Tim Hortons, was it a charge point? Is that what they're using?
Yeah, it's charge point, and so after the hour, you do get a fee on top of that. I forget off the top of my head what that fee was, but I mean,
but it's just like some of those shopping malls where the actual unit is programmed that the first hour is free, and then after that it starts dinging you per minute or per hour or whatever the charge is.
You got it. Yeah, exactly. So, and Tim Hortons, I think more and more of them are starting to get on board with the whole electric charging. I know that I did a trip to Grand Bend, and I think it was in Seaforth. There was a Tim Hortons that actually had a level 2 and level 3 charging as well.
Very good.
Yeah. Okay. So the next thing is GM's released their EV roadmap. They have a new battery system called Ultium. I think that's the proper way to say it. And they're doing battery packs from 50 kilowatts to 200 kilowatts, which will be interesting. That's 650 kilometers of charge, roughly. And their built-in battery management system will slash battery pack wiring by 80% compared to the Bolt EV. That's huge. That really shows a lot of the progress that we're making with simplifying these systems. And I think for the service aspect of things is going to hopefully make that a lot simpler as well as in terms of producing the EVs will be interesting to see. That'll help their numbers getting them out. The systems, they have two voltages, 400 volts that can do 200 kilowatts of charging, so the DC fast charging, or the 800 volt with 300 kilowatts of charging. So that'll be probably, I would imagine, in the truck and SUV line that they'll be using those, and the 400 volt will be more along the lines of the Bolt EV. The other thing I like with what GM's doing is this modular design with 19 different battery and drivetrain combinations. If you understand GM with their internal combustion engine combinations, I want to say it's way more. I don't really want to say what the number is, but it is way more. So this again is making things a little bit simpler overall for GM.
Yeah, it's this was unveiled on Battery Day recently last month, and they talked about the 20 different brands by 2026, I believe, was the date in the future. They talked about an amount of vehicles that would be made. I believe the number was 1 million across the world. And of course, we don't know the breakdown between, say, North America and China. GM is present in both, and of course, China is a big market for them. So we're not really sure about the breakdown for what will be available in North America. The question apparently was asked by a number of reporters during Battery EV Day, and they declined to answer the breakdown. And then recently, of course, there's been a couple of articles about I guess leaked information they believe they have about GM production numbers, and some people call it disappointing. And then, of course, there's people saying that the numbers are incorrect. What they've gotten is not what GM had promised. So we're going to have to kind of watch this as time goes along and see if there's been, if there's extra information that leaks out over time as to what the actual roadmap in numbers will be.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, and also, a shout out to GM. About 5 days ago, Mark, I think you know a little bit more with the story, but with the current health crisis that we have, GM is now helping to make ventilators. And there was an engineer that he tweeted out about, being, put onto a team to create these things. That they do really nothing about, but he's quite proud of what they've been able to accomplish in the 5 days. And of course, also Tesla is donating, buying ventilators and donating them, as far as I understand. I'm, not positive on the exact news on that, but I know Tesla is doing some stuff as well.
Exactly. So GM, Ford, and Tesla have all talked about these different aspects of how they can help ventilator production, and certainly we hope we can all work together to help that situation and have enough for what's required to be used in the next coming weeks and months, certainly. Oh. One other thing I'll mention about GM Canada, even they have. For people that have a OnStar capable car that can take Wi-Fi, they have offered Wi-Fi to be free through OnStar for 3 months or 3 gig of data. So if you have, for example, a Volt that has that capability or a Bolt, you can go onto the GM website, GM Canada website even, and you can sign up for it and get yourself some free data for 3 months or 3 gig, whatever happens first. And that's another way to connect people GM is doing, and certainly our appreciation for that as well.
Yeah, that's impressive. Nice. All right. This is exciting. The Tesla Supercharger network, of course, we talked about, they're now right across Canada. And of course, a shout out to Trev and Ian from Model 3 Owners Club. They completed their cross Canada, road trip in a performance Model 3, only stopping to charge. They drove basically 24/7. They did it in 71 hours, I think it was, and it was 6,300 kilometers.
Yeah, just over 3 days. So they quite a run, cannonball run across Canada to Like you said, just switching drivers and napping the other person napping as the other drives. So man, that would be that's quite a feat.
Yeah. And you know, it's a good thing the Model 3 has really comfortable seating, I will say. I've known to doze off in those seats, no problem, a few times. Not while driving, but anyways, the London Supercharger, which is just off the 401, it's active now. It's been turned on, and the Kitchener is off the expressway on Victoria Street, where the Tesla service center is. So that's just, Expressway, Victoria, Edna Street area. And I was informed by High Mileage Rob that they were getting these installed. I actually saw the conduit getting laid out 2 weeks prior when I got my Hardware 3 upgrade. And the guy explained to me the conduit was 4 cables that were probably each cable would, I would say, be a minimum the size of a toonie times 2. So 8 cables that were basically then going out from the main building to, I guess it'd be the transformers here. You can see with the glove, the guy holding that cable there, there's 4 cables, 2 positive, 2 negative, that go into this. And it was really interesting actually to see the inside components of the chargers. It's not really that simple. I'm amazed the amount of sort of technology that's put into this, and it's they got some cooling fans in there, it's not simple by any means. It's not like a regular sort of battery hookup of like positive to positive, negative to negative. There's a lot to it.
Yeah, and what was also interesting in some of the other pictures that Ian, you were able to share was that, and you can see it in this photo right here, in the top left-hand corner of the open cabinet, you can see a little liquid bottle that is there. Yeah. And it's like, I'm speculating, is that the version 3 cable cooler? Is that something that goes into the cable to keep it cool from running all the electricity through the actual cable? I'm guessing.
Yeah, or it could be washer fluid for the handle.
Washer fluid for the handle, yeah. I don't think it's that, but
de-icing, so the handle doesn't get stuck in the the port there. Icing solution.
Yeah, so I'm not sure what it is, but it was interesting to see that there's this little liquid reservoir that's inside these particular superchargers.
Yeah, exactly. So from what I understand, is tomorrow they should be getting the I think the inspection done, and then the commissioning should be happening sometime mid this week, if not by the end of this week. So those guys will be online soon. Those also are version 3 superchargers as well. So London and Kitchener, I don't think Tesla's doing anything less than version 3 right now.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that London supercharger is located at the Wellington Road exit beside the Costco, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah.
You got it. Yeah. So, all right. So, for all the nostalgia people out there who always thought that a VW bus would make a great electric vehicle, VW and E-Classics have actually come together, and I'm not sure how you say e-bully, I guess.
Yeah, looks like it.
Yeah, converted van. So it's available for $69,000. So it's not necessarily a cheap van, but it's got a 45 kilowatt hour battery that's good for 200 kilometers, and redesigned front and rear axles. I'm sure that part has to do with the weight of the battery and that. And then, of course, CCS charging with 80% in about 40 minutes at 50 kilowatts. So that's, it'd be interesting to see, for some road trips, this van. I think it'd be a lot of fun, actually. I always enjoyed guys who took these vans and made some interesting conversions for camping and that type of stuff.
Yeah, like that group EV West out in California. They seem to love VW conversions.
Yeah. Yeah. So, actually, there's a company called Canadian Electric in Vancouver, BC. And I think it's Vancouver. I know it's British Columbia for sure, but they also have a conversion kits for Volkswagen Bugs. They've been selling them for quite a number of years, actually, and they also have a kit for the Chevy S10.
Okay.
And yeah, Chevy S10, I think, and the Ford Ranger. So if you're
Excellent.
into conversions and you want to do it yourself, there you go. Yeah.
So 45 kilowatt hour battery pack gets you about 200 kilometers in this bus size. Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. So I would say, for long road trips, it's you probably could do it. You're gonna have to take your time a little bit, but I think people who drive Volkswagen buses like these usually aren't in too much of a hurry anyway. So yeah, I'm not trying to stereotype at all, but
They're
uh,
not speed demons in the first place, are they? Really?
no, no, exactly. Uh, all right. Um, this is interesting. I found for not just for Tesla. I think this is great for all EV manufacturers. But the first part of it is that the Model Y has now a heat pump in it, and as far as I know, Nissan Leaf has had that as well.
Yep.
Yeah, and and it's the beauty about a heat pump is it's really efficient. So, you know, when I say 300% efficient, it's you might want to do a little research when I say 300% efficient and exactly what that means. But it's really quite an interesting technology. I know one of our members, Eric Stevens, actually he uses a furnace system that is an air source heat pump and has quite the efficiency on it as well. So I've learned a little bit about the technology from him on that. But this is great because you know uh, as we learn more about one of the biggest problems, of course, we always hear all the time is electric vehicles lose their range in the wintertime, which is true. We it depends on how cold it is and what our terrain is and how fast we're driving, and of course if we preheat it or not. And this will make things a lot more efficient when we have something like this. The other aspect that's interesting is, of course, autonomous driving, autopilot, full self-driving, whatever you kind of want to call it. One of the biggest things being we're Canadian and we deal with wintertime driving is the whole snow aspect and sleet and slush on the roads and our sensors getting clogged up with that. And I've seen it, personally, where basically the car says, hey, no autopilot for you. You got to take over, and now you're at the mercy of driving yourself. This guy here on Twitter, Green the Only. If you check him out, he's really interesting. He goes into quite the in-depth on the vehicles in terms of like really researching through their instruction manuals, the cars, and everything. And he came across this a radar heater. And so what that is, from what I understand, is basically the sensors have a way to get rid of that snow that builds up so that the car can still use autopilot. And between their vision software and the radar aspect, autopilot's going to work a heck of a lot better. One area that I'd be interested in knowing how that's going to work, though, is what happens when the lines on the road get covered with snow, and the car doesn't see that anymore. So that's going to be interesting, that aspect of it.
Yeah, the Canadian winters are certainly a challenge for it, not only just for the snow and the ice, but of course, what's coming up with the snow and ice is road grime. So
Yeah.
the sensors are also getting covered in dirt when that snow and ice melts away. Having a Teflon-like surface, of course, helps that somewhat. But it's going to be a work in progress, I believe, as they try to figure out how to keep those sensors clear for the most part.
Yeah. Now, one other thing comes to mind is of interest. We mentioned about Tim Hortons giving away an Ionic. Norway actually had done a research on the best electric vehicle in their cold climate, and the Ionic actually came out on top with their system. And so I'm not sure if it's heat pump that they're using as well, but they were quite efficient actually.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, all right. So, Mark, let you take away this one on the government of Canada.
Yeah, the government of Canada has announced that it is providing basically incentives for business that purchase vehicles. We knew this before, that purchase electric vehicles, that you can write off 100% of the vehicle purchase for the business. And what they've done now is they've opened it up a little bit more, and they've gone to non-roadworthy vehicles. So vehicles that aren't on the road, like, for example, mining operations or agriculture, or anything that would use a non-on-road vehicle. They've opened up this incentive for those electric vehicles as well. So that's a big win for industry. Certainly, that they can now participate in this write-off that they couldn't before. Also, of course, with the health crisis that is currently going on, what they've done is they've pushed back the deadlines for applying for these, and allowing business to get things straight with the other operations that are running, and then be able to apply for this at a later date. So if you have a business and use either a road vehicle or a non-road vehicle, now this zero emission vehicle incentive is available to both types. So that's a plus that other industries now can benefit in the adoption of electric vehicles. I got to believe that mining is a big one. Certainly, they spend all sorts of money in trying to, of course, keep fresh air in the different mines that humans are working in. Low emission vehicles would be a huge plus in that type of scenario as well.
Yeah. Now, I should make a point. The dump truck that you're looking at here actually produces more energy than it consumes. So let me explain. This is really cool. This is in Europe. And basically, when the dump truck is empty, it goes up a hill and gets loaded up. And when it goes down the hill with the regenerative braking, and because of the weight of the load that it has, it actually produces more energy than it consumes. So it recharges itself fully with, and actually not only 100%, but beyond 100%. So it's always fully charged whenever it goes down the hill. So,
Exactly. So you got basically a perpetual motion machine here. As long as it gets loaded at the top of the mountain, it produces all the energy going down for it to get back up to the top and start the process again.
Yeah. So kind of a cool physics aspect. Now, somebody, of course, I know in physics would then argue that, yeah, but you needed the energy of a backhoe to load the stone and mining material into the dump truck, so that takes away from it.
Yeah, certainly. There's no perpetual motion machine, certainly, but this application is perfect for an EV with regen. Absolutely perfect.
Oh yeah, exactly. So very neat. All right. So this is a big one. With our current health crisis and us being asked to stay at home, of course, now we don't have as much in the way of cars and traffic on our roads right now. And what's really interesting is if you look all around the world, anywhere from China to Los Angeles to New York to, I'm sure, even in Toronto, is basically the air is becoming cleaner because not as many people are out driving their cars. A couple interesting stats, just going to read here. In the last 20 years, American Lung Association named Los Angeles the smoggiest metropolitan area in the United States, but now LA has now had 3 weeks straight of clean air. And of course, the majority of the pollution comes from our transportation of people and goods. So researchers, this was a study that was done in Europe recently. They found that air pollution caused an extra 8.8 million premature deaths a year in 2015. Smoking was 7.2 million, and violence, including wars, was only 530,000. So it's interesting, really, how much air pollution really does factor into our health and our healthcare. It does strain it into quite amount of money in the billions of dollars. So I'm really hoping that our governments will see what how beneficial this is. And one of the things is not necessarily like just saying, hey, we're going to take gas cars off the road right away. That's not going to happen right away. But interesting enough, just the amount of people that are able to work from home, I kind of hope that the governments and corporations will actually give a bit of an incentive to say, let's do, like, for example, a 2-week process where you work from home for 3 days, and then you come to the office for 2 days for the first week, and then the following week you work from home for 2 days, but you come to the office for 3 days. Just something like that. It'd be interesting to see if that could be implemented, more, because I think it's really it's great to see that our world, so to speak, is kind of cleaning up with this.
Yeah, if you turn off the tap of pollution, we can see in this photo here over the tri-state area of New York that certainly the pollution has been basically cut in half, if not a little bit more. That happening continent-wide certainly is going to have an effect of the pollution that we're all breathing in. So
Yeah.
it's interesting that this, at least the scientists are studying this as it happens in real time to us, and can point this kind of stuff out to us, so we can have an idea as to how to make things better.
Yeah. One other quick thing to the air pollution is actually there's one other pollution that we don't actually talk about very much, and it kind of reminded me. I was watching the CBC documentary on sound, being that I'm a recording audio engineer. I came across this, started watching it, and they were talking about studies of just traffic noise pollution and how much stress and anxiety that also costs. And one thing, I'm close to downtown Kitchener, and I've noticed, there's a dramatic decrease of noise in the area. And you can feel it every day because, again, there's not as much traffic and that kind of going on. So another interesting area, that we don't have the engine noise and thousands of engine noises that are going on. People sometimes think that it's, not a big thing, but it actually is. I know that the UK did a study with taxi drivers. They switched them from diesel vehicles to electric vehicles. They put on some monitors for their heart pressure, blood pressure, all that sort of stuff. And they found that they were a lot less stressed out and anxious. And so it's interesting what's going on. Yeah. Cool. Finally, I don't have a Donald Trump slide for you. But we do have this, and I got a kick out of this. If you go to the website, bigeffingfield.com, and when I say effing, I mean like type in the full deal, and go check out this website from Oklahoma that basically Elon is looking to do another Giga Factory to build his Cybertruck, and he's taking bids. Missouri was another one that's put a bid in, but I think this one really is quite good. The whole website is really interesting, the whole thing, what they've done here. And you can get them on Twitter as well, at Big Effing Field. And I suggest, for fun, go check it out. It's, I had a good laugh at it last night.
Yeah, there's a lot of memes and jokes put into it, but this is serious. This is Tulsa, Oklahoma, that has put this website forward. They're trying to get the attention of Elon because he's indicated he wants to put a factory in central United States, and he's got interest, of course, from Texas, from Missouri, from Nashville, Joplin, Missouri, I believe it was, and then now Tulsa, Oklahoma. So this is serious business. If someone to plop a new factory in your backyard with all the associated jobs that come with it, there's a lot of governments that would love to have it. So this is their attempt at getting Elon's attention and trying to get on the dance card to see if they can be one of the contenders. So and it is hilarious. I believe one of the items I saw in the website was they've got the field. I guess it's legislated that you can build a factory. And of course, you can also have a club underneath it, because Elon's talked about having a club at Giga Factory Berlin. So these guys incorporated right into their bid and say it's already legislated to have a club there if you want one. So that was kind of funny.
Oh yeah. Now, I don't want to give away too much on the website. I suggest people go check it out, because it's a lot of fun. They also did it in a way, they know that Elon likes his memes, so they did a lot of that stuff as well. Yeah. So so there's your news. And one little plug. Speaking of Cybertruck, is if you guys are on Facebook, go look up Cybertruck Canada. There's a Facebook group and a Facebook page that I've started on there, and looking to get more people to, I don't know, give your opinions, your feelings on the truck. If we're going to keep up to date on some of the news on there as well. And I've got that set up for you guys. So tell your friends if they're interested in the Cybertruck. It's good. We can all kind of discuss everything Cybertruck, and this is more relation to Canada as well.
Very good. And what we'll do is we will add a number of links for the show that you saw today, for the different articles we had, and we'll put them into the show notes, so you can click on the links if you want to jump to those particular websites or articles as well. We want to thank everyone for joining us this afternoon, or whatever time it is when you're watching this, because, of course, with YouTube, you can watch it anytime you want. But we thought we would try this out instead of course, having a meeting where we can get together face-to-face. If you like this, if you like the format, please leave a comment, let us know, and give us a thumbs up on the YouTube actual algorithm here. You can give a thumbs up, which means you liked it, and that gets it in front of more YouTube viewers. So thanks very much. We'll see if we can do this again in a month or so, if hopefully the health crisis has subsided and we get together in person again. So thanks very much, everyone, for watching, and have yourselves a good evening. Be safe out there.